My name is Anthony John Agnello. We have just gone with Streams Producer as my title for Engadget. And hanging out today is Mr. Ben Gilbert of Engadget. Hello, Ben.
Hi. Hello, Anthony. How are you today?
I'm good, man. I'm still sort of like dealing with what we've just learned about the state of Konami and Hideo Kojima. It's wild. We'll talk about that in a moment, everybody. But right now, Ben is playing a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous game called Ori and the Blind Forest. Ben, fire this beast up, man. Let's see it.
Yeah, I've just cut over, and what you're seeing here is kind of the overworld map of the different areas of the game. I'm unfortunately just in the middle of a bit of a story setup right now, and this is not what the game always looks like, but it will, look a lot like these kind of. This is like the thematic overview of what each area looks like, right? So you see that there's like a kind of like icy mountainous world and like a kind of flowery tree forest area and an ice world and whatever else. So Ori, as you so eloquently described on Twitter, is like a kind of Metroidvania Miyazaki thing, right? Like it's this kind of beautiful reminiscent of I don't know his first name. The guy who did like My Neighbor Totoro and stuff.
Hayao Miyazaki.
It's Hayao, right? It's like Hayao or something.
That's exactly right.
All right. So anyway, Hayao Miyazaki's artwork, it's like reminiscent of that style of art mixed with the Metroidvania kind of game style, right? Which is the 2D exploration, unlocking of areas, a lot of looking at maps. I don't know how else to describe that. Getting power-ups. Stuff like that.
I always, whenever somebody like resorts to the Metroidvania, the nomenclature of Metroidvania, like there's a segment of the gaming population that knows exactly what the hell that is. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, there are tons and tons and tons of people who were like not born between 1982 and the year 2000, and all of the things that would actually make the word Metroidvania, topical to them. That's not prevalent necessarily anymore. I mean, it has been, and I hate to horrify everybody, it has been 7 years since we had a proper Castlevania game at this point.
Ooh.
No Lords of Shadow does not count.
Oh, well, what? Really?
No.
Oh, man. Those games are pretty okay.
Yeah, Lords of Shadow 1 is pretty okay. Lords of Shadow 2 literally caused internal bleeding for me.
Literally?
I was apoplectic with rage playing Lords of Shadow 2 because it is just, oh my god, what a fiasco that thing is. But the sort of default that I go to when describing that style of game is an interconnected two-dimensional action game.
That sounds good.
Right? And like that encompasses all of the different things and all the different versions of that sort of exploratory game that you can have, because they're not all the same. Castlevania isn't exactly like Metroid, and Metroid isn't exactly like Monster World. And Monster World isn't exactly like Blaster Master. Oh,
I don't think of any of those games. I think of like Shadow Complex.
Shadow Complex, yeah, Shadow. Man, I like.
It's a good game.
It's a good game. It's not a great game. It's a good.
Oh.
Yodel, no love for Mirror of Fate. Actually, you're absolutely right, Yodel. There are two good Lords of Shadows games because Mirror of Fate is pretty kick-ass. It's so ugly though. It's just an ugly game.
I've heard a lot of good about that game, though. You're right, absolutely.
It's very fun. It's actually very well structured. It gets a bad rap. I actually gave that game a 9 out of 10 when I reviewed it. I stand by that score.
Let's take this Metroidvania explanation one step further and explain just that the name is a combination of Metroid and Castlevania.
Castlevania,
right?
Yes.
I know that that's it's seemingly silly if you've heard the word 1,000 times, but I don't know. I remember when I first started listening to gaming podcasts a while ago, and hearing a bunch of jargon words that I had never heard before and being extremely frustrated.
Okay,
yeah.
just a quick digression. What is your absolute most hated game jargon word, then? What is the thing that shows up in discussions about video games that you just cannot stand?
Oh man. I mean, words like visceral are the obvious ones, right?
No, not descriptions. I mean, like, jargon.
Oh, I mean, stuff like RTS and FPS and all the acronyms are always obnoxious. That stuff I think gets way overused and just people assume a lot about what those kind of games are, and it puts games in boxes and stuff instead of talking about, I don't know, some games are those specific things, but anyway.
Yeah. I'm gonna cheat with mine. I'm gonna cheat because it's not directly something used with games. It's something that circles video games, but it is one of my most hated things in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Launch. Oh, it's a launch trailer. Oh, it's launching. That is a marketing term. That is what some idiotic person... They didn't even get their MBA. Like, they did a correspondence course at the local learning annex and started using that in connection with freaking marketing campaigns. I cannot stand people who put launch into everything.
Launch, okay.
Ugh,
all right.
God, launch.
Understood.
All right, so tell me, you were saying that there's like a lot of really sort of thick story stuff at the beginning of Ori and the Blind Forest. Catch us up to what's been going on up to this point.
So Ori is... I don't know how much I want to spoil about the beginning. I think Tim Sepala actually intentionally told me to play the first half an hour or so not streamed so that people would enjoy that themselves. So there's some like kind of heart-wrenching, touching stuff at the beginning, and I kind of don't want to spoil that for people. But the big overview of the game is essentially that there is a tree in the distance, a big tree you can see at the top, actually, on my... that's where I was going this whole time, initially. And that's like where you're from, and you are initially going to talk to it, and then the story kind of progresses from there. And that's where I'm at right now. But there's a lot of other areas, right? Like you can see that this map is... I'm in Sunken Glades here, right? And it's like 74%, and then over here there's there's other areas I can go to if I go up here or whatever else. So yeah, we'll see other areas, I'm sure, as time progresses.
God,
but
even the map is pretty.
Yeah, it's a pretty game.
It's pretty.
It's a very, very pretty game. And so we were talking about I think a second before we started the official 3 o'clock business or 2 o'clock or whatever time it is in the day. I've completely lost track of time. The studios that made, or the studio that made this game, Moon Studios, is like not a studio really. It's like a collaboration of people around the world. And I remember seeing this game at Gamescom, I want to say last year or something like that. And they I think some of them were meeting for the first time maybe there.
Wow.
Because they had just been working remotely on it. I believe this is all the case. Don't maybe quote me on this in a story, but I'm pretty sure all this is accurate. And they were all really nice, and the game is obviously gorgeous. But yeah, I think it's been kind of in production for a while. And it's also on Steam at the same time, which is really interesting.
Did Microsoft publish the Steam version, or did Moon Studios publish it themselves?
No, as far as I know, Microsoft published the one on Steam as well, which is completely nuts.
Yeah, that is nuts. That is crazy.
And I think it's
committing to that Windows 10 strategy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's their thing about they want to be at like everywhere or whatever. I mean, Phil Spencer was talking big game about that. Like, it doesn't matter. We just want the games out there. At least when I last talked to him at that HoloLens event or whatever it was. Man, it feels like so long ago, Anthony. It was like a month ago. It was like 2 months ago.
When he was forcing you to play Minecraft by looking at a table? That's what was happening?
That was a thing that happened. That did happen.
That did happen.
Phil Spencer didn't force me to do it, but it did happen. Anyway, so the mechanics are really neat though in this game, and they're like kind of like, it's kind of like I think a lot of people have described it as kind of feeling like Meat Boy, and I think that's sort of accurate.
Even just looking at it, the speed with which you're jumping around, and the wall jumping stuff does give off the sort of visual appearance of a Super Meat Boy, flow.
Absolutely. Yes. There's I think a kind of a feeling of N+ here as well, maybe, with that like wall sliding kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really, I don't know. It's the Metroid or the Castlevania side of it, I guess, is the stuff where you're like, no, I guess it's the Metroid side of it where you're like unlocking powers to get to new areas. That's what I'm doing right now. So yeah, this is definitely like a. I think the platforming aspect is new, though, to the idea of that row, though, right? Like, I can't think of any Metroidvania-style games that are heavy on platforming, and this is, I think that.
I could definitely think of a couple, and it's funny that Ori and the Blind Forest is yet another sort of lushly animated Metroidvania-style interconnected 2D action game, because the other platforming-centric exploration games that I can think of are Dust and Elysian Tale.
Okay.
Which is another, like... It's funny how similar the two are, not just, like, in style, but, like, very, very small team, passion project, working on it for a really long time, picked up by Microsoft. That's sort of different style of platforming challenges. It's not so much like wall jumping, but it is, like... very, very distinct timing and stuff like that for the platforming challenge. That's a great game.
I've heard a lot of good things about it. It's very pretty as well. Let's see if I can get I can't seemingly unlock enough energy here to get to the next area, which is I have to break through this blue thing.
What is the very first power-up that you found? Or have you found any of the extra power-ups?
Totally. So there's it's weird because there's a couple of different types of power-ups, so to speak. There's there's abilities. So if you look on the bottom of the screen, you can see that I have there's these blue orbs on the left side, and there's green orbs on the right side, and then there's a circle in the middle, right? So the circle in the middle is for my ability points. So it says 1, so I have an ability point, and I'm going to go use it right now. And you access them by putting down a save point, and you only have the ability to put down so many save points. So the blue orbs are how many save points I'm able to put down, right? So that's like energy. But you also use those to shoot that big bolt I was shooting to get through that door. And so I'm learning more stuff about that as time goes on.
Where do you get these blue orbs for save?
You get those from destroying stuff in the world, like killing enemies and breaking through. There's brambles that you can break through and stuff like that. So
are they scarce? Have you been finding a lot of them?
No, I mean enemies respawn also. So it's so far. I mean, I guess you could farm it if you wanted to be crazy and just sit there and play areas over and over and over. But it's pretty slow as far as I can tell.
So it's not like the original. It's not like the original Tomb Raider, where there were blue crystals and you only found 5 of them every 6 hours.
Right.
You needed those to save.
Okay, so we've got another big story point. So there's just been these story points happening as I've gone along. I think this might be a boss fight actually, or something. But I haven't gotten to any boss fights yet. But it looks like there's something happening here. Oh man, new enemies. So the main stuff I'm doing, though, is basically just button mashing on X, which is my attack, and it, essentially auto-attacks whatever's near me, and then platforming. And otherwise, that's really it.
So wait a second. Elaborate on the auto-attack.
Oh my god, that just happened.
So you're not directing those little white wisps of light that seem to be blowing things up?
No, I'm just, pressing X. I'm mashing X, and it's just going after stuff. So it kind of takes... You don't have to worry about that as much. You're just worrying about where you are. I'm avoiding that guy. I'm not worrying about how to hit him, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. It's really... I like that a lot, actually. Some people might think it's too simple, but I like it. Yeah.
There's a little bit of a tease for those of you hanging out with us today. 2 streams in a row are going to be Metroid-style games with talking about interconnected environments and power upgrades and that sort of thing, because today we're streaming Ori and the Blind Forest, but on Tuesday next week, we are going to be streaming Axiom Verge with the game's creator, Tom Happ. And if you guys have not heard of Axiom Verge, look it up. It is a PlayStation 4 game that is very, very explicitly inspired by the NES Metroid and games from that era. And I have been playing through it, and it is has far more in common with Metroid than it seems like Ori and the Blind Forest does. Ori really reminds me of, less of Metroid or Castlevania and far more of like things like Monster World. Did you ever play?
No.
Did you ever play any of the Monster World games, Ben?
I've definitely not.
Old Sega series. And they are great, those games. They were made by a studio called Westone, which no longer exists, sadly. And they made like these sort of interconnected adventures, very similar to this. A lot of platforming challenges for the Sega Master System and the Genesis. And the very best of them, it was like one of the most beautiful 2D games of its time, called Monster World 4. Came out at the tail end of the life cycle of the Genesis, and it only just came out a couple of years ago in the US for the very first time on PlayStation Network. Okay. Absolutely fantastic. Fantastic game.
It's on PlayStation Network, though, you're saying?
PlayStation Network, the Wii Virtual Console, actually, of all things, and Xbox Live Arcade.
Okay, all right.
Unfortunately, not Xbox One, but PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. I think you can also find a PC version. I have to look that up just to be sure.
How about the Vita?
Unfortunately not. It's so perfect for the Vita, too.
It's exactly the kind of thing that I want to play on a Vita. Exactly.
Yodel just pointed out in the chat, it's so weird how Wonder Boy and Adventure Island started at the same place. And then they went in such weird different directions. That's actually very true. Like, they sort of spawned from the same mold. And, that Adventure Island just continued to be janky as jank can jank. And, although Adventure Island did eventually go into a Metroid direction, unfortunately none of the Metroid-y, exploration-based Adventure Islands made it out to the US. I don't know if you knew this, Ben, but you're familiar with Adventure Island? Like the old NES game?
Familiar-ish.
Yeah, like you play a little pudgy guy in a grass skirt, and he skateboards around, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I always confuse him with Joe and Mac, but
right,
yes.
Yeah, there you go. So Adventure Island 4... which came out only in Japan for the NES. Awesome game, is actually that sort of Metroid-style thing. It's great. It's very good, and I'm not saying to the people that you can go out and play this game through illegal methods. I'm not going to use the E word, which is emulation. I am going to use it. But you can play this game in English, and it is wonderful.
Just use another E word.
Wait, what's that?
That was it. English.
Oh, yeah, I should have done.
Jeez.
Saoxian78. Hiya, JXE. Hello to you, my friend. Welcome back. Welcome back to the show that never ends, except for when it does. And Electrium, I totally agree about how it doesn't exactly compare to Metroid and Castlevania. There's less RPG-like stuff and no bosses, as far as I've seen.
No bosses?
Have you not encountered any bosses or anything like that?
No, I've encountered 0 bosses so far. Oh, well, I mean, there's like kind of mini bosses almost, if you consider it, because there was like an enemy early on that I could not defeat that charged me that I had to use to solve a puzzle, and there was like that box that I just dropped that was like wrapped in spider webs that I had to solve. Like, I don't know if those are those aren't really bosses. Those are like bigger puzzles. I don't know. No is the answer I'm trying to give you. No, I have not seen any bosses. I think no is the answer. Man.
So Ben, I know. Like, let's get off topic for just a quick second.
Just
a quick second. Get off topic. Have you started Bloodborne yet?
No, I haven't even picked up my copy yet, actually.
You haven't picked up your copy yet?
I have not. It's at the office. I'm going there tomorrow, so I'm going to get it then.
Oh, so Sean, you're still annoyed that you missed Tuesday's stream. Did convince me to get Type 0. Man, yeah, we had a really good time at the Final Fantasy 15 stream. So, on the last episode, when we were checking out the Final Fantasy 15 episode Duske, episode
Could you just...
Duske.
Just the silliest.
Just the silliest name. I found out when I finally played it, I was far more forgiving of the ridiculous name. Because this isn't like the Tetsuya Nomura being a ridiculous human being calling things like Dissidia or 358 over 2 days. This isn't like that.
Dissidia Duodecim? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, this isn't any of that. Duske is the name of, like, the countryside that you're in the demo.
Okay.
Like, the name of, like, the region.
Okay.
Is Duske.
Sure.
So that, like, I was like, all right, I'm more forgiving of that. But yeah, we had a great time playing it. And going up in the next few hours on Engadget.com/gaming is going to be my review of Final Fantasy Type 0 HD. If you guys want to check that out. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think Type 0 is a very good game. I think it is... It suffers from some very serious flaws, much like every game that Hajime Tabata has directed. Hajime Tabata, also the guy who's directing Final Fantasy 15. His games are never anything but, like, totally fascinating. He makes fascinating games. I've only played one that is unequivocally great. And that's Crisis Core for the PSP. That game Crisis Core is just like, that is one of the best. It's worth owning a PSP just to play Crisis Core. Final Fantasy 7. It's that good.
Is that that's the action RPG one, right? Something like that.
That is the action RPG one, yeah. And his other games, like, one of them is awful, and it's the Parasite Eve sequel for PSP called The Third Birthday. It's terrible, but my God, it's fascinating. It is just fascinating.
I've heard those Parasite Eve games are very good.
You know, the original is it's really showing its age, but it's quite good. It's quite good. Reading about the game, Enril29A is saying, reading about this game, apparently Moon Studios said that this was their homage to games like Metroid and Rayman. So maybe the platform focus comes from Rayman. That is very, very true. The wall jumping and that stuff really kind of has that Rayman Origins vibe. Even more than Super Meat Boy, now that you've brought that up, Enril.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. It has that feel, that kind of floaty, kind of, I don't know, it's not loose. It's definitely floaty. That's no doubt about that. But it's still pretty precise. You know, there's still some precision and some clear intention to that floatiness. Even though it might, I don't know, it might come across as not as serious as something like Meat Boy or N Plus or whatever initially. But man, I gotta say, like, playing it so far has been very enjoyable. It's like, I don't know, it's a mix of the kind of games that I like a lot, so this is definitely a Ben Gilbert game. I'm a big fan of pretty serious platformers. The only problem here is that there are a lot of colors and things happening on the screen at any given time, and that's pretty confusing for my brain.
Yeah, man, you know, like, we've been talking about how beautiful Ori and the Blind Forest is. Like, there's no getting around that. It's a great looking game. But, like, it is, like, there's so many things exploding and trails of light and, like, are we old? Is that what's happening here?
I think that might be it. I'm pretty sure that's it. Because, I mean, it definitely feels like, I have a hard time tracing where, if I'm gonna be hit by something. And there's stuff in the foreground versus being in the like, you know, the area where Ori actually is. So there's some stuff that I have a hard time with. Maybe that's just I have depth perception problems. I don't know. I'm usually pretty good with depth perception. But anyway, there's a lot of secret stuff though. As I walk around, there's like this crazy looking half sphere thing, half circle thing, and if you have map stone fragments which you collect as you walk around, you insert that into here, and it kind of just expands out your map. There's an easy access map on the select button. I think Microsoft decided to call the select button or the back button something different, but I think everybody knows what I'm talking about when I say that, right? Because F that nonsense.
Yeah, I know. Like in fairness to both Microsoft and Sony for their abandoning of the select button, it's been a hell of a long time since a select button had any sort of tangible meaning.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Like that is confusing nomenclature at this point.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. God, I can't remember the name of it. It's some silly nonsense on the Xbox. But anyway, regardless.
It's the... Oh God, that's really gonna bug me.
Yeah.
Because it's the share button on the PlayStation controller.
Yep. Well, at least it has a function tied to it, you know? This one does not.
I like on the PlayStation controller that the touchpad has replaced the select button. That there is just this giant, chunky thing in the middle of the controller that will bring up your primary menus.
Remember when they were going to use that touchpad for anything? Remember that? I remember that. I remember being like, "That's pretty cool. Look at that," and then it just does nothing. That's pretty awesome.
I every now and again, if I'm typing something in, like my credit card on the PlayStation Network, and all of a sudden, like I'll accidentally touch the touchpad, and I'll see like the icons start to swirl around, and be like, "Oh yeah,
right." It does that.
That's what it does.
How about that? So anyway, while I'm walking around here, you'll notice that I'm transitioning areas here, and it's like, this is just part of the gigantic map that I can scroll all the way out. This is how far you can scroll out, and it's like Thornfeld Swamp versus the Sunken Glades versus the Hollow Grove versus the whatever other areas that I haven't been to yet. And there's like percentage completions for each area, and... Man, even this map looks super fresh, and you can zoom into various levels of depth, and to see how you can go from area to area. And it's even seamless. You don't have to, like, scroll back out and hop between sections. You can just, like, scroll around one gigantic map. So,
out of curiosity,
yeah.
do you, like, is the map giving you, like, go here now commands?
There is an objective. You could toggle the player objective, and you can see that I have to go to find the Ginzo tree is my objective right now. So I'm like, but there's like any good adventure, there's a bunch of stuff that gets in the way that I have to solve, and that's the fun, right? Woo, right. Adventure fun.
That's the good time.
So yeah, that's basically what's been going on so far. And it's, I mean, maybe repetitive or whatever, but it's so I don't know. I really like. Just like walking around and enjoying new stuff and finding new stuff, because it's super. It's like it's a cool world to walk around. I want to explore the blind forest with Ori, and part of why I wanted to do that is because of the beginning of the game, which I haven't told you about, which is sad and makes you want. I don't know. It makes you like Ori. I don't know how else to put that.
Yeah, tell me about Ori, because I understand that, again, like, there's stuff at the beginning in the story that you don't want to ruin.
Right.
I know that, like, does Ori have a personality? Is Ori silent?
Ori is silent. Ori makes cute noises at certain points during story cutscenes, or not cutscenes. They're like it's in the world, but you know you lose control of your character and whatever else. Oh, I can see that there's a map shard over there, so I should go get that map shard. So Ori is just like an adorable cat-like creature that came from the giant tree that I visited before. So as a leaf. Oh man, I'm such a dummy. Why am I such a dummy, Anthony? I don't know. I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm doing badly in the game while I'm talking to you. Obviously. But, so yeah, Ori was originally like a leaf and floated from this big tree, and then landed in the arms of another cute animal, and they fell in love, and it was a whole thing, and then you have to see the story from there. Fell in love like in a, I don't know, not in a relationship like a partner way, in a relationship like a mother-daughter, like a parent and child, I guess, is what I'm looking for here. So anyway, it's really adorable, and man, yeah, it's really adorable. But it makes me want to hang out with Ori and do stuff, and be on his or her side as the protagonist because she's clearly adorable, and they personify her immediately. And I think her, right? Ori? I think?
You're gonna go with her?
I guess?
Seems a little gender neutral, man.
Right? I don't really know.
I think Ori's gender is Ori.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. So I don't know. I don't know how to refer to Ori, unfortunately.
So my other question about this, and I recognize that you're still very early on here, but where is the hulking sort of Andre the Giant, if Andre the Giant was a giant pile of black goo character?
So you are referring to the character that I was talking about in the beginning of the game, and... Well, you will find out if you play the beginning of the game.
I see.
What happens to, or where, or whatever. Anyway, so I put in that map fragment, and you can see that there's a whole bunch of new map here, telling me, kind of how to get to where I need to go. Almost, actually. It doesn't really help, because I need to get to this big glowing circle, and I still have no idea how to get there. But anyway, I kind of know. You can see on the map that you can kind of... Gonna go through that passage there, right? Anyway, yeah.
Quick question for you, Ben. This is a question also for the chat. I kind of want to know what everybody thinks about this. How do you feel about spoilers? Because obviously, like, you made the executive decision based on the recommendation of our very own Tim Sepula that you didn't want to show the beginning. You don't want to show the beginning of Ori and the Blind Forest because it's very affecting.
Yeah, I would say it's affecting. It's worth seeing.
It's worth seeing, and you want to keep people from being spoiled. But I find this fascinating. A study was done last year, and I will dig this up. I'm sorry to pull the Congresswoman Bachmann approach of being like a study was done. An actual study was done by a media research firm that showed that spoilers don't actually diminish the enjoyment of media for the vast majority of people.
Okay.
I find that, like, that's only sometimes true for me. Like, spoilers, sometimes, like, when things are spoiled for me, I don't mind. Like, this past weekend, I saw Interstellar for the first time.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And I loved it.
What? Come on!
Loved it. I loved every single second of it. I thought it was amazing.
Oh my gosh.
And, like, we'll get into that.
I'm telling your parents.
We'll get into that, you McConaughey hater. Yeah.
Oh, he's the best! I love McConaughey.
He's the best. So I loved Interstellar, and I saw Interstellar just because a friend of mine, like, spoiled the whole thing for me. I was like, yeah, well, I heard it kind of sucked. And he was like, no, this happens, and then this happens. And the spoilers actually made me want to see it.
Okay. I don't know how that's possible, but okay.
Like, there are other times where, I don't want to be spoiled by a lot of things. Like, The Order 1886, I very intentionally didn't even watch trailers. I had opportunities last year for work. People being like, go do a preview of this and we'll give you money. Money to do a preview of this. And I said, no. I'm not doing that. I'll do another thing for you, but I want to save that one because I'm excited about steampunk werewolves. I got screwed in that situation. I should have been spoiled because that game is a piece of, trash.
Yes.
But, I wanted to go in fresh. So, yeah. All right, Sarashat says, I'm quite against spoilers, although apparently not everyone agrees on what a spoiler is. That's also true. I think any information about something is technically a spoiler ahead of time. Like, if you watch a movie trailer, technically that is spoilers.
Well, it depends on it depends on your own level of I guess, whatever you consider a spoiler. Yeah, and I think for me, it's, like, really contextual based on the media, right? Like, I don't know. I intentionally didn't learn anything about Portal 2 before it came out because I knew I didn't want anything spoiled. I didn't want to preview it. I didn't want to do anything like that. So, yeah, I don't know. For me, that's not like that's really like my level, though. I don't know. It depends.
By the way, Southshan78 Roy G. Biv 415, Yodel, Bill D. Everybody's coming out. Interstellar is awesome. And,
wow.
Yeah, everybody.
Wow.
Props to all of you.
Wow. We're talking about the same movie, the one with the books. He's in like the 3D representation of the 4D space. That one.
Right.
That one.
Yeah,
that movie.
That's the one.
That one. Where everything ends happily ever after. Where everybody meets each other at the end and everybody's smiling and.
That one.
Great.
That's the one.
Great.
That exact movie.
It's a bad movie. I almost walked out in the theater. I almost left the theater.
Oh man, no, you want to know why I like that movie? I like that it is unabashedly operatic. I like that it is bald in all of its emotions. It is saying it's outsized in every way. It's impressionistic. It's not being literal. I think if I went in expecting like a piece of like dense, hard sci-fi that was just about space travel and exploration, I would have been disappointed. But I've also seen Christopher Nolan movies before. He trades in impressionism. He doesn't do straight drama. He doesn't do, straight pulp fiction. He just does these very, very outsized expressionistic things. And with that perspective in mind, I thought Interstellar was spectacular. Especially the way it did visually represent really interesting pieces of real, like, scientific theory. Like what it would look like when you go through a wormhole. I thought that was really cool.
I mean, that's all you've got all these large, big picture, thought out reasons for it, and my reasoning is really just that I thought it was dumb. Like, it's not like, I don't have any of these, like, man, like, I haven't thought about it, like, any of the, like, my feelings on Christopher. I like Christopher Nolan, he's fine. I liked The Prestige a lot, that's pretty good. But I even like that other one. The one with, what the hell? With Leonardo DiCaprio. The other one,
Inception.
Inception, yes. That one.
Batman,
the one with the blah, that one.
Batman and Robin, the one with the nipples on the suit.
Yeah, the suit nipples. That guy.
Did that one. That's the one.
So yeah, no, I don't know. I like Christopher Nolan. He's fine, but like I don't know. I didn't think about any of that stuff so much as I just watched it and thought it was like ridiculous. Like there's a lot of stuff story wise that I was just like, this is dumb. This is not a movie I like. But I don't know. I'm pretty simple man.
Enroll 29A has some really cool thoughts on spoilers here. People rewatch good movies. That is exactly the same as a ton of spoilers. Why is that different than the first watch? I'd rather be spoiled and not waste my time on bad movies that seem like something I wouldn't want to watch. I'm kind of right there with you, man. I mean, like, there are times where if I go in and something is made by a writer, a director, a developer, it doesn't matter what, like, form it is, whether it's a video game, a piece of music, a novel. Like, if I know an artist or it's been recommended to me by people whose taste I trust, I do like to go in blind. That's something we do on the stream here all the time. I like playing games for you guys for the very first time so that we can discover them together, and usually I can mess up in profoundly really bad ways. Like when it took me 7 minutes to get through the first fight in Final Fantasy 15.
What's happened?
Ben, Fancy Schmancy TV is a big fan of your review of Interstellar. I want all movie reviews to be that monosyllabic. I agree. Dumb is pretty good.
It's pretty dumb. It's a pretty dumb movie. I wanted to like it. I went in very excited. It was not good.
What is a not dumb movie?
A not dumb movie? I don't know. The Shawshank Redemption. Not dumb.
Shawshank Redemption?
Not dumb. Not dumb. But that's not really fair. I don't know. It's not comparatively dumb. It's just dumb in a vacuum. But anyway, regardless, I looked at my wife and she looked back like, is this happening? Is this really? We're all here together on this movie. No one is like, this is ridiculous. No one else is standing up. Like, anyway, it was a situation. That's what I'm trying to say. We felt like we were Interstellar. You know? You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna throw this out there. You can do with it what you will. You don't like it, you throw it right back.
Hmm.
I wept
when
I saw Interstellar. I cried.
What
at that movie.
is happening? What planet are we on?
I saw it by myself. I was by my lonesome.
Mm-hmm.
in the theater, and this was just a few days ago, because there was actually a theater in New York still playing it.
Of course there is.
Of course there is. Of course there is.
In fairness, you also wept when you saw, Wall-E and...
I did not weep with Wall-E.
And iRobot, big weep at iRobot.
iRobot.
At the Hudsucker proxy. Big weeping at the Hudsucker proxy.
Okay, I will not have you besmirch the good name of the Hudsucker proxy.
Of course you have an opinion on the Hudsucker proxy.
I will not have the good name of Hudsucker proxy besmirched by a Philistine such as yourself. Not have it.
The movie's pretty good. But regardless. I'm sorry, by the way, that I keep dying here, folks who are watching the stream. This game is not, I wouldn't call it easy. It's not really too hard. It's just not easy.
Are you dying because you're trying to talk and play?
No, I'm dying because I'm bad at video games. At video games. Yeah, it's more about me being bad at video games than... It's not the game's fault. It's not your fault. It's really my fault. But I'm trying my best. I'm going to get better. I think I'm getting to a story point. Yep, there's some sort of a jerk. I don't know what he's doing. He stole some sort of an orb and looked at me and then smiled and dashed off. And now I'm following him around. Which I don't know who's the creep in that scenario then, right? Am I the creep because I'm following him? I don't know. Oh man, I'm getting messed up. Anyway, so you haven't touched this game at all yet?
I have not.
Okay. What is this, $15? $20?
It is $20.
20 doll hairs. Alright. Yeah, this certainly seems like there's a lot of game here, though. That's for sure. I don't know if you guys saw the... Let me just jump into this, actually, for a second. But there's an ability tree that looks like it goes pretty far. And it's certainly... I mean, I'm, maybe... When did I start playing this game today? It's 3:42 right here, local time, and I started playing it, I don't know, maybe 2-ish or so. So I'm X far in, and I've had to replay a certain amount, and yeah, so I don't know, maybe, I don't know, I can't imagine I'm more than 15% in here or something like that. It looks like there's a lot of game here, is what I'm trying to say. And that's cool, because $20. Man, yeah, it's so pretty. I can't get over that. I know it's really dumb, but, it's not often that I'm just man, look at the graphics. It's not even graphics, it's art. It's since, gosh, what was the name of the game with, and the White Witch? You know what I'm talking about? Ni no Kuni?
Ni no Kuni is, that is actual Studio Ghibli Hayao Miyazaki animation.
Totally. So that was the last time that I was man, this art! Oh, man! And here we are, with Ori and the Blind Forest.
I'm trying to think of something that I've played recently that, just was visually stunning. It's funny, it's not... quality is not enough to make visuals that, the most amazing thing in the world. I think, the visuals here in Ori and the Blind Forest are really high quality, but it's not the high quality that makes them beautiful. It's how evocative they are.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
It's how it sort of paints a portrait of this strange little forest spirit world. Playing The Order, I gotta stop bringing up The Order, but that game really galled me. The fact that I spent money on The Order, and it was my money, God. I
love how angry you are at it. It's delightful.
So angry. Just angry.
I tried playing it last weekend, and didn't get very far.
Just terrible. But, The Order 1886 is a remarkable looking game, but it's also ugly as sin. The visuals are incredibly high quality, but, it's so dark and drab and nasty and gross that the only thing that's worth looking at are the sideburns.
Yeah, there's a lot of sideburns, in fairness.
It's a lot of sideburns. Even the chicks have sideburns. I love it. Hoplite 22, I will stop bringing up The Order when Sony apologizes for The Order.
Aw, poor Ready at Dawn. That's where I'm at. I loved Ready at Dawn stuff before this, so it really sucks that this is the case.
I think that's... Yeah. Oh, Saoshan, Telltale's Wolf game. I absolutely love the visuals of. Yeah, man, Wolf Among Us. great looking game.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a good looking game. Oh, I need to get out of the.
Some great sideburns and mustaches in The Wolf Among Us as well.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. That's good. It's a game I need to go back to big time. I played the first episode, really liked it, and then promptly stopped playing it for no reason.
Oh yeah, finish it. Absolutely finish it. I played through it on my Vita actually this past December, and really enjoyed it. But man, Telltale really needs to work on their engine, man. I know that like that sounds like beating a dead horse, talking about how there is some serious jank in Telltale's games, but geez, does that game run like crap on Vita?
Yeah.
Like to the point that like in the end, like how in like The Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us, there are the moments where it's like the action scenes and you need to press things in a certain amount of time. Mm-hmm. Like it runs so badly, and your inputs are so terribly delayed that there are moments at the end of Wolf Among Us where you think that the game's going to be unbeatable because of the way it's optimized.
That's extremely unfortunate and shouldn't be the case. Like, that's the kind of stuff that stinks the most because it's like, yeah, technical stuff getting in the way of you just enjoying a game is extremely unfortunate. Yeah, that's what kept me on consoles for so long, and then consoles got all the same technical problems that PC had.
Yeah.
So, great.
Yeah.
Great.
So this is actually a kind of good thing to bring up with Ori and the Blind Forest. I know that when the game came out, just a few days ago, that it was plagued with some really, really bad technical issues. I know Tim Sepala started playing it a couple of days ago, and like the sound wasn't working, and he had to like go out and relaunch his Xbox One to get it running. And
the only
you run into anything like that?
The only issue I had was directly at the beginning of the game when I went to go start it. It broke, like froze and crashed to the dashboard, and otherwise everything's been great. But it froze and crashed to the dashboard. So yes, I have encountered some of that stuff, but it hasn't been prevalent otherwise.
Man, I have had a hell of a time with some downloaded games from the from Xbox Live Arcade on Xbox One. Particularly stuff published by Microsoft. I tried to download Volgar the Viking not too long ago.
I hear that's good.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's got some real problems. It's just, like, just like going out and being like, we made a retro style action game. Like, that's just not enough. Like, you still need to make a good game.
Yeah.
And there are just like these very, very simple problems that make Volgar infuriating to play. And maybe that's just the Xbox version. I've not played the PC version that originally came out. It might be better optimized there. On Xbox One, it's got some really infuriating problems, and not just related to its difficulty. It's a very hard game. But when I downloaded it, I tried to fire it up, and apparently some people had this problem with Ori and the Blind Forest, actually. I fired it up, and it just wouldn't get past, like, the activation screen. Like, when you press start, it's sitting there, and, like, you have, like, that image that flashes up that it's sort of loading, and it would just hang. And, I got in touch with Microsoft, and credit to them, their customer service is spectacular. But I had to, like, power cycle my Xbox One and then re-download the game to even get it to work.
For Ori, you said?
No, for Volgar the Viking.
For Volgar, excuse me, yes.
I know that some people reported having a similar issue with Ori and the Blind Forest, and like I don't know if everybody in the crowd knows what power cycling a console entails, but it is deeply annoying.
Well, why don't you walk me through what power cycling a console is? Because I don't actually know.
All right, power cycling a console is you have to go through, erase your profile on it, completely shut it down, not just in the power save shutdown, completely power it down, unplug the console for like 15 minutes, fire it back up, reinstall your profile, and reinstall like the most recent full operating system update for the console, and then start it back up again.
Well, that sounds like a tremendous hassle.
It's an enormous hassle. And like, yeah, God, deeply frustrating.
I have no idea what to do next, by the way. I know I have to regain the water vein, and I've explored this whole area thoroughly, but I cannot figure out what to do next. So if anybody in chat...
Zuru Burai, I'm not totally sure what Zuru Burai is trying to tell us, but he says, no kill plant, he is break ground. So I think that you could do a ground-breaking maneuver.
I think so, too. I don't know how, though. So I might have missed something where I was supposed to learn that, but I can't... I don't know that happened. Maybe that happened. I've been talking a lot, so, you know.
We have the internet.
But I am trying to figure out what to do. So I hope people don't think I'm just running around at random. But anyway. Oh, man, so there is some slowdown that I've noticed as well, actually, if we're talking about technical stuff.
Ori and the Blind Forest stomp attack. Let's see here. Stomp attack. How do we do it?
Jumping around. Can't go underwater. Ori does not like water, by the way. Don't jump in water with Ori.
Never forget to save. This tips guide is annoying.
Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm being an idiot. I figured out what to do. Okay. Don't kill the plants. Got it.
Alright, yeah, so there's a stomp move.
Well, I haven't learned it yet.
But I think you just got it. It was in, like, you know, one of these orbs that you picked up. Alright, no, the TCS says you don't have stomp yet.
No, I definitely don't.
I think you need to find it.
The TCS? What's the TCS?
The TCS says, so go back up and let the plants break the rocks and logs.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm doing that right now. What is the TCS?
The TCS, what does your name mean?
Oh, the TCS is a person! I thought you were talking about a thing!
Yeah, I was waiting for you to figure that out.
I did not figure that out. Okay, I've got it. Do it, shoot me. There you go. I'm doing it. Don't kill the plant. Understood. Alright, I'm an idiot. Excuse me, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, the TCS. I got it. We're there. We're doing it. Video games together, everybody.
That was a three-man play between yourself, the TCS, and Zuru Burai, who I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct. It might be Zuru Burai? I don't know.
Oh, I just got shot by a pink laser. Again? Again? Yes, again. Oh, I needed to save.
The TCS
God
is just
bless.
human beings' initials.
Okay.
It sounds like a type of, you know, form that you would need to fill out at the DMV in Greece.
A Grecian DMV.
A Grecian
DMV, not DMZ. Excuse me.
It's a different thing.
Totally different thing.
Very different thing.
All right. Okay. Shoot your plant. Great. Shoot another plant. Fantastic. This time I'm gonna save the game. Watch, Anthony. I'm gonna do it.
I don't believe you.
I'm gonna do it. So that's another thing though that is interesting and different from like something like Meat Boy or I don't know, something similar to this. Is that you have to kind of meet out your saves.
Oh.
But make sure to save, otherwise you get you get messed up. Like I just got messed up again. And then you gotta play through the game again. I don't know how do you feel about the concept of games punishing you by wasting your time?
Oh man, it's really
That's like a lot of games, right? Like a lot of games do that.
It's a lot of games. You know, like I recently played through Resident Evil Revelations 2, like all of them, at the end of February, and I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. But as with a lot of Resident Evil games, you know, like they'll pit you in these boss fights where there are like 4 forms or like 4 stages of the fight, and oh man, yeah. It's infuriating.
Yeah.
Infuriating that like you'll die, and it's like all of this hard work that I just did is ruined. It's like, you know, wasting time A game that I love, I think is like a brilliant piece of art, is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for Wii U.
Okay.
I love this game.
Okay.
However, I hate playing it because the checkpoints are so poorly spaced, and you end up doing these irritating things over and over again, especially in boss fights. Like, the boss fights take a really long time as you're waiting for, like, these things to go through, you know, all of these different cycles of patterns, and instead of checkpoints, it just makes you do the whole thing all over again. And that feels like wasted time. I can't stand that stuff.
Yep.
But, at the same time, there are other things, like, I still, and I know you just recently replayed a bunch of the classic Mega Mans.
Yeah.
And I love the checkpointing in Mega Man, where it's like, you made it halfway through the stage. Now you need to make it through this whole series of challenges to get to the boss.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the point. No quick saving, no just trying to get over this one jump. You got one checkpoint mid-stage, and then you get a checkpoint at the boss. And I that doesn't feel like time wasting to me. That feels like a smart pacing of challenge. So I think it's not really about a game choosing to waste your time. It's about pacing choices that you make on the design end. You know?
I don't know. I mean, isn't Mega Man doing the same thing there, where essentially if you fail that, right? Like, let's say you have 3 lives at that halfway point, you still have to go back to the beginning of the level if you miss those 3 things, you know.
But I feel like the pacing is a good thing, and what I like about the old lives system, where it kicks you back and says, all right, no, you have to continue, and you'll start at the beginning of the stage, or you go to the stage select, is I like that what that is telling you is maybe try something else. Like,
sure,
you're throwing yourself against this one thing, maybe take a different approach. And Zuru Beret, I'm from Brazil. Thank you for joining us from Brazil. That's awesome.
Woo! What's the weather like?
You know what I love about Brazil, man? Brazil had a vibrant community of developers still making Sega Genesis games as recently as 10 years ago.
Really?
Yodel. Oh yeah, that's absolutely true.
Weird.
Yeah, there were new Genesis games coming out in Brazil from, like, third-party publishers up until, like, 2005, 6, which is so cool. And Yodel, so Anthony likes it when he likes it and dislikes it when he doesn't. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is such a thing as good pacing, and then there's bad pacing. I think that those things are quantifiable.
They are. Oh, snap! Oh, man. Okay. Serious story stuff happening. I was in the Moon Grotto, I got dropped out of a thing, and now I'm in Gummo's hideout. I don't know what any of that means, but it did happen. It definitely happened. I know that.
Gummo's hideout just sounds filthy.
Doesn't it? It's because of the movie Gummo, though. That's what did that to you.
Oh, no.
The movie is filthy.
I've never seen that movie, and I am terrified to see that movie.
So there's a lot of stuff, though, that, like, I'm going to probably go back to there, because I just fell so far from the Moon Grotto. Where am I? Oh, I'm still in the Moon Grotto. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I was way up here, and then I fell way down here. You can see my save point is still way up there. So if I decided I didn't want to do what I just did, I could just go die and figure things out. But, man, yeah, there's so much to explore. I'm honestly kind of daunted by the amount.
I really like the manual saving. I think that's a really cool touch.
It's like a risk-reward thing. I do like that, for sure.
And that's an interesting way of addressing what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
It's a really, really interesting way of, like, being like, all right, well, we don't want to waste your time, but we want you to still consider the risks of doing all of these things. And so, like, all right, well, you've tried to tackle these jumps. Now you know you want to save the game near these jumps. Save your resources to do so. I think that's a really smart way of doing it. And
so
that's a way where it puts the burden of good pacing on the player, which I think is a good idea.
So where are we at? 4 o'clock right now. So maybe let me just say hello again to everybody who's joining us, and thank you for joining us.
A little bit of a shout out, a little bit
of shout out to everybody in the chat room. Shout out to everybody streaming it at work, trying to pretend like they're not doing that.
Station ident.
What's up?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is JXE Streams. My name is Anthony John Agnello, streams producer here at Engadget, and we have Mr. Ben Gilbert hanging out with us as well, and he's playing Ori and the Blind Forest, a new exploration and platforming-based action game for Xbox One and PC by the Studio Moon Studios. They're a new operation. They're an international consortium of developers working together on this glorious little piece of something that was published by Microsoft Game Studios. And Ben is well into the game at this point. You're a couple of hours in.
Yeah.
And the crazy story stuff is going on, and Ben is unlocking powers. And I think, based on what a couple of folks here in our chat has been saying, that you're sort of nearing like the first sort of dungeon-y area of the game.
Okay.
Yeah, like a bona fide dungeon. Which I like that. I like that in an exploration-based action game. Way Forward, the developer Way Forward. I love their work, and their recently released game called Shantae and the Pirate's Curse for Wii U and 3DS is also a sort of Metroidvania like Ori and the Blind Forest, a game where you have an interconnected world where you gain new powers, and that's how you get around. But it also has, what I like about Shantae is like you have this whole world to explore, but then there are like dungeons. There are these actual places that you have to go into before going out to the bigger map.
You know who else loves Shantae is JC Fletcher, the former Joystick managing editor.
Oh, JC Fletcher and I have talked a lot about the wonderful stylings of Way Forward and Shantae. JC Fletcher, who runs the impeccably kept handheld gaming website Tiny Cartridge alongside Eric Caioli. And we cannot recommend you guys check their stuff out enough.
No, it's the facts. JC sometimes even writes for Engadget, when I'm lucky enough to get him to write something. Yeah,
JC is a mercurial guy these days, but he is also raising 2 twins.
Yeah, so. Well, he had some kids, so he decided to get away from the stupid world of video games. Go figure.
That was redundant, wasn't it? 2 twins? What the hell am I
Yeah,
doing?
excuse me. That's oh man. You monster. Is that me? Did I say that? He had twins? 2 twins?
Yeah, 2 twins.
2 twins.
Those twins. That means he had a couple of Danny DeVitos and a couple of Arnold Schwarzeneggers at the same time. Sparks V, how are you going to be covering Mortal Kombat X? Is it Mortal Kombat 10 or X? How are they saying that out loud?
I think X.
I
want to
it's
say
a
X.
Game, but like, yeah, it's awesome. So in Mortal Kombat X, Sigma is destroying the city, and Scorpion needs to find capsules left by Dr. Light to get new boots. That's a different thing. It's a different game. I wish that game existed. I would play the hell out of that. Sparks V, it's both. It's Mortal Kombat X and it's Mortal Kombat 10. So, how are we covering that? Well, let's just say that we're going to be playing it in the very near future, not on the stream. And we are hoping, this is not set in stone, but we are hoping to have NetherRealm join us on the stream in April to play a whole lot of Mortal Kombat X, because I am totally pumped about this game. I loved Mortal Kombat 2011, and our own Tim Sepala is also very excited about it, so one way or another, we will have it here on the stream. And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, tell me in the chat if you guys are interested in this. Would you guys like it if we waited to stream the game so that you guys can fight with us on the stream?
That is a good question.
Just let us know, because we will do that. I hope we... Yodel, I hope we get a Jason X costume in Mortal Kombat X. Yes.
Oh man, that'd be really crazy if they didn't have that. Like, they have to have that, right?
They have to have that. They have to have that.
Is Jason X isn't the one in space, is it?
That is totally the one in space.
Oh.
It's absolutely positively the one in space.
Yeah.
That is just the most...
I've definitely seen that, in case you were wondering. Which I don't know if that's embarrassing or funny or
right, I'm just gonna throw a little. I don't want to get inside baseball on everybody, but I like every now and again in our business we get emails from PR people inviting us to cover things, and I kind of like love how the careful PR press relations art of coming up with a subject line for an email. Because sometimes they're trying to put a lot of information into a subject line of an email that will tantalize you to open it and intrigue you. And so I just got one, and I don't know what the hell this means. So this is the actual subject line of a PR email I just got. Mm-hmm. Snickers wants you to see Dodger's hunger avatar.
Ooh. What
the hell? And Snickers being like the candy bars in all caps. So it's just Snickers. Like it's yelling Snickers at me. Like, come on. I just don't understand.
Every day, I'm always amazed by the press releases, just from not necessarily the content even of the press release, so much as how I ended up on that mailing list. Like, how did you end up on a Snickers mailing list? I don't know, Anthony.
I don't know. What is a hunger avatar? I just, like... This is some, like, bizarre Tibetan Book of the Dead speak that is going on. I just don't understand.
Oh, man. All right, so I think that was kind of a boss fight, though, back there. A second ago, I encountered a guy that I basically had to fight like a boss, and it unlocked a thing. I, like, got locked in a room, and I had to fight him until he died, and then it unlocked the room when I defeated him. So...
All right, that's a boss fight.
That's a boss fight in my book. And Spirit Gate, I need one more key to the Spirit Gate. There's all these doors to open and stuff to do. There's a lot to collect in this game. Oh, Ben, I got the Spirit Gate thing. But then I died. So, anyway, there's a lot of... Beyond just unlocking powers to open doors, like Metroid style, there's a lot of straight up, like, go collect this stuff to open this. I guess, is that Castlevania-like? I don't think that's like Metroid or Castlevania, actually. I think that's just like a different thing entirely.
Explain that setup to me again. Can you run me through that again?
So, you know, in Metroid, like, there's certain areas that are locked away that you need, like, missiles to open the door or something like that, right? So, that is not the case in some cases in Ori. There's a thing, like, where there's a wall that you need to destroy, that you need to, like, unlock a power first in order to destroy that wall, and then progress to that next area, right? But there's also stuff where you, like, just need to go collect shards of whatever to open a door, and that kind of stinks. Because that's just, like, go collect stuff, instead of, like, you know, you've got a new sweet power that you now are able to use, which is a lot more exciting.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something similar to that, like where you like it's item based, but you get through the door. I mean, I know
it's like Zelda or something.
Yeah, Zelda.
Excuse me.
Yeah, like you need a key in Zelda to go open a door, but it's not like go get 9 keys to open this door.
Yeah, that's fair.
Again, like every now and again, I just look at this game and I'm like, damn, that looks good. Mikey C9! Hello.
Oh, man. So rough.
Welcome aboard the good ship JXE streams. I'm assuming those sirens are on your end, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I've got the windows open here. We're in Brooklyn.
The sweet sounds of New York City?
When I say we're in Brooklyn, I mean I'm in Brooklyn. You are not in Brooklyn. You're in Queens.
I am in Queens.
You're holding down Queens.
Take us to Queens at once.
I bet you I would say that every time I got into a cab.
Every single time.
Yep. Even if I wasn't going to Queens.
Take us to Queens at once. Where do you meet women in Queens? Go to the library, you meet a nice girl there.
Is that from... It's got to be Coming to America.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, what else is referencing Queens? It's Coming to America. Man. Anyway, it's been so long since I've seen that. It's such a good movie.
Oh, it's so good. So good. Every single day, that movie is just playing in my head.
There are a lot of things going on the screen at the moment. There's definitely noticeable slowdown more and more as I progress further and further, and that's pretty frustrating because it's like kind of important that there isn't slowdown. But what are you gonna do, right? What are you gonna do? You're gonna deal with it. Maybe it's better on PC. Maybe it's more optimized on PC.
Little question about your attack maneuvers there, Ben. Have you upgraded your attack at all? I know that do you is there a way to make it track further?
So this is a good time to talk about that because I'm saving right now, and that's part of my ability tree. So one of the branches on my ability tree, you like how I used branches there, is the abilities to shoot stuff and hurt things. So the bottom one is your quick flame, and then your spark flame, and then charge, flame, burn, and all this stuff that's going to make your basic attack better. But your basic attack is called flame, or flame, I guess. And I don't think that you're gonna unlock another type of attack because it looks like there's only one tree for your attack versus your kind of world abilities, I guess. Stuff's gonna show up on your map, like this one, for instance. The next ability in this is that map markers are going to show up for pickups. And then there's, my life pickups restore twice as much health. And then the top one is kind of more for I guess it's more soul-based stuff. Yeah, it's all based on your blue energy stuff. So your blue energy is your saves and also your charge shot. So yeah, I hope that all makes sense. I'm sorry that there's some weird words in there, but yeah. So yes, is the long and short, though. Basically, you can totally change your shooting ability to make it more powerful or to do different things over time. And it's basically been based around picking up stuff to load up my ability bar from just actually defeating enemies and getting experience. Yeah.
The TCS, I've hardly had any issues on Xbox One playing this. Minor little glitches, but overall the game has been solid. I find it so funny that, you can hear reports of, widespread performance issues with things and then never encounter them yourself. So last fall, I was reviewing Alien Isolation on PC, which was a grueling experience because I had to turn that game around, start to finish for a review, within 3 days, 4 days.
Oh, come on.
And it's a 17-hour game. And the last 7 hours of that 17 hours are just the worst.
It's grueling.
Grueling. Just a grueling pace to beat that game in. But, as I was playing it, I was speaking to other people from press outlets playing it at the same time, and they're like, oh my god, it's crashing on me left and right. When I do this, the game just stops working, the AI won't track, and I never, ever had a problem with it. The whole time that I was playing it, I never encountered a single issue. And it's just, it's weird the way performance issues can work like that. You just don't run into things. What did you just get out of this tree?
I just got the double jump ability. It's very exciting.
Oh, snap.
That is actually genuinely exciting.
Do you ever think about where video games would be if one designer never came up with a single idea 30 years ago? What if nobody just ever thought of the double jump? Where would video games be without the completely absurd physical idea of you jump in the air and then you jump again?
That was the whole conversation. You jump once, and then you jump again.
Then you jump again.
Everybody's like, what? What? What?
Hold on.
Hang on.
Roll back.
That's crazy. The things you're talking about?
Duke, my whole life I've been trying to unlock the double jump ability. I would kill for the double jump ability. I think Fred Astaire is the only person who can actually double jump. That's not true.
No, I think that's pretty accurate. He's pretty good. Some of those parkour videos, you're like, whoa, that dude could just take off at any minute. Any minute. Oh, I'm just trying not to kill myself, but I'm totally gonna. So Man, this is definitely the kind of game that is not easy to play on a stream, let me tell you. It's maybe entertaining, but holy crap is it hard to play at the same time, just because there's a lot of remembering where you're supposed to be going and remembering areas you need to go to after getting new abilities kind of stuff, you know? Like, it's that like kind of adventure game brain where you're like, oh, this goes with that, and I have to go over there for this and to progress and blah, 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 blah.
Wait a second. Single and loving it, I bet Beyonce can double jump. Beyonce can't double jump. Beyonce can just, like, it's all the wind. She can glide. Like, the constant presence of wind blowing on Beyonce, it gives her a lift. That's
It's a fact. It's a science fact.
It's just a fact. It's just a science fact. White Boy 7, hello to you as well. Welcome, welcome. Yodel, the double jump seems like a fix to our platforming is bad and poorly designed. But I like the way that, like, especially in an exploration game like this, that, like, the double jump can all of a sudden reveal new things about the way that the environment was designed really well. Like, Symphony of the Night. Like, I love that, like, you play Castlevania Symphony of the Night, this wonderful old PlayStation game. You play it for a few hours, and it's like, okay, I can only go to these places. I can only go to these places. And then when you finally unlock the double jump, not only does it look awesome, because the sprite for the main character, like, all of a sudden his cape will very momentarily turn into, like, bat wings when he double jumps. It all of a sudden, like, says, all right, well, you can go to the rest of the map now. Like, you know, you can go to all these different places, and you can go back to the places you could be before and get to these little corners of the world that seemed like you know, impossible to get to.
Like, I'm just about to do that right now.
Yodel, that's actually a very good point. I think Yodel says it evolved to be used well. And I think that there is, to a degree, I think that's probably true. I think that's very true. I'm trying to think of, like, the first time I ever encountered a double jump ability in a video game.
That is the question.
Yeah.
When was the first double jump that I encountered? I'm trying to think. It's got to be, like, Genesis or Super Nintendo, probably.
Electrium, has any game copied the blur after images of Symphony of the Night? It's funny, they didn't copy it from Symphony of the Night, but one of the only other places that I've ever seen that sort of blurring after image effect on a character in a 2D game, they were both in 1997. It was Symphony of the Night and Mega Man X4. Mega Man X4 had that awesome, like, strobing effect when Zero did his dash move.
Mega Man X4.
Oh, what a great game. What a great game. 1997 remains my, like, favorite year in gaming of all time.
Wow.
Well, the only, like, you know, it's not just nostalgia speaking. Although I do have great nostalgia for games like Symphony of the Night and Mega Man X4 and some of those from 97, but I like to think that, like, if, like, the gaming world as it is now, like, the history of video games to date, if you could lay it out like a map, like a giant physical map, the entire landscape of video games to this point, 1997 would be that midpoint where it would balance. Like, where you could just rest it on the head of a pin and have it perfectly rest there. Because it was this moment where, you know, all of the ideas of the past were sort of leading into these new ideas, where explorations of 3D space and all of that jazz, but then, like, you started to get sort of like the postmodern spins on the old ideas. You had things like Parappa the Rapper and just all of this fascinating stuff going on in video games.
Parappa the Rapper was particularly bizarre, in fairness.
Just so bizarre, so bizarre.
It was an extremely out there game. Man, I always think of, isn't 98 the year where you got, like, Ocarina of Time and all sorts of other
and
great stuff?
98 was bananas. You had Metal Gear Solid, you had Ocarina of Time, you had, what else from the Square Enix lineup? You had Parasite Eve, freaking unbelievable stuff. First double jump. I'm sitting here just thinking, like, really sort of, it's really gonna itch at me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it would be. I'm thinking maybe Metroid.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think that might be one of the first ones I ever saw in Metroid 2, the Game Boy game. Oh, Dragon Buster was the first to feature a double jump. Agent 5021 telling us that.
Okay.
Dragon Buster. Let's take a look at this. I've never even heard of this Dragon Buster. That's a ridiculous name for a game. That guy's a real Dragon Buster.
Quit being such a Dragon Buster.
He's a real frickin' Dragon Buster.
What is this? Grab and move object? Sure.
Wikipedia even has the phonetic spelling of the Japanese name. Dragon Buster.
Thank God.
What
did I just drop? Oh no. I don't know what I've done. Anyway, there's a lot going on here.
God, Half-Life and StarCraft were 98 too, as the TCS and Bill D are bringing up.
That's
98
right.
is crazy.
Half-Life,
actually, I will also say, as time goes on, I think one of the greatest years in gaming history was 2013. 2013 was an absolutely freaking astounding year for games. The Last of Us, Animal Crossing, New Leaf, freaking Super Mario 3D World. Unbelievable year, 2013.
Yeah. Super Mario 3D World is so good.
Oh my god, so good.
Oh man, I still like. It's such a shame that so few people have Wii U's just for games like just for that, and like Mario Kart 8 and like Bayonetta 2. There's like a handful of games that I'm like, man, no one is gonna have played these, and it's unfortunate because they're so good.
Wait for it, man. Wait for it. And I said this last year as I was reviewing Bayonetta 2. I can't wait. I can't wait for it to be freaking 2024 or 2025, and we just get whatever the media is at that point. We just get a flood of essays about how, like, the Wii U is one of the greatest, most creative consoles of all time. Like, just like all of the Dreamcast articles we've been reading for the past 4 years. Like, oh, ahead of its time, it was a magical system, and then there'll be like a boom of places like Think Geek selling refurbished Wii U's. Mark my friggin' words.
Refurbished Wii U's. Oh man, that's gonna be a thing at some point. Not far from now.
That's gonna be a thing.
That's a fact.
Twin Stick bringing up Wonderful 101, another sort of wonderfully bizarre game by Platinum Games for Wii U. I did not care for Wonderful 101.
Got some love on staff. Joseph Volpe, big lover of Wonderful 101.
Yeah, I love Wonderful 101. I love looking at it. I love listening to it. I hate playing it because of the touchpad controls. I hate, like, the gyroscope sections where you'll be, like, in an interior of a building and it forces you to look around and that ridiculous, like, second screen. It just doesn't work. If I could just play Wonderful 101 with a regular classic controller, I think I would like it so much more.
Yeah, that's something where it's what was the game I was playing recently that does this on the Wii U, where you just Kirby, the new Kirby game.
Oh yeah,
where you have to stare down at the Wii U gamepad the whole time, and it breaks my heart because it's a gorgeous game, and it's
so
like,
good looking.
Why am I looking at it on this stupid low res gamepad? Like, what is the point?
You know, the funny thing is, and like, I'd have to test this. I'm gonna have to wait until I have a child to test this theory, but I think that Kirby and the Rainbow Curse might be one of the best games for an older sibling or a parent to play with a young child, so that they can watch the big screen and be like, "Yay!
Oh, sure,
yay, pink ball!"
Absolutely.
While you sit there and look at the screen playing it,
sure.
Because you really can't look at the screen.
No, there's nothing you can do.
This is another thing. Watching you play Ori and the Blind Forest makes me want so badly to be able to have some kind of off-screen play for the Xbox One. Because that's something that's great about the Wii U, is just being able to, like, sit down and, like, still watch television and play a Wii U game on that controller, or PS Vita, as I've been playing, like, hours and hours and hours of Final Fantasy Type 0 in the past couple of weeks. You know, I've almost entirely been playing it on my Vita. which like is God playing PlayStation 4 games on your Vita. It doesn't always work out because the control mapping can like be terrible, but sometimes God that remote play is just so tasty. It's so delicious.
I'm shocked to hear you that you use it. That's something that I largely gave up on basically immediately.
Well, for a lot of the downloadable games, it's just the best, and you would be surprised. Some big publishers will actually do a little optimization of the controls. Like, it's a terrible game, but Assassin's Creed Unity, I would not have been able to finish my review of that game if it didn't have remote play. Because the only thing that made that tolerable was watching 30 Rock for hours at a time as I played through Assassin's Creed Unity.
Yeah, I just wouldn't have played that. I'm shocked that, I'm shocked, Anthony. It's not to knock remote play. It's not bad. It's just that any issues that are introduced into the gameplay as a result of doing that, like any latency or any weird button mapping or whatever else, like all that stuff is just enough for me to just be like, I'm done. It's just like, not why bother, kind of. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. In what instances are you doing it? Is there something like where your wife is using the television or something and you...
No, it'll literally be, like, there are times where I like to play a handheld game and have the television on in the background.
Right, like you were saying with 40 Rock, or 30 Rock and...
Yeah, or there are times where I literally just don't want to look at a big screen. Like, I would like to, like, sit in my living room, put on a record, and just sit with something in my hands rather than look at it on a big screen. That's happened a couple of times with playing Final Fantasy Type 0. Okay.
So tell me a little bit about Type 0, actually. I had a question after I was reading your review. It's a remake, right, of an older game that was already released in Japan or something?
It is it's not even a remake. It's just a touch-up, and it's not even a full remaster, just a touch-up of a 2011 PSP game called Final Fantasy Type 0. Only came out in Japan, and a new PSP game in 2011, that was late in the PSP game.
Sure.
And, at that point, the PSP was totally moribund in the United States, and Square Enix has always had issues with getting their games for PSP on the PlayStation Network as digital downloads in a timely manner. You still can't get Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep or Crisis Core as digital downloads. You can only play those games as UMDs.
What's a digital download?
Oh, blowy. So you can't get those games digitally, and they didn't want to release Type 0 physically, so they made a version for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And it's very, very good. It's very, very strange. This is a game that started life in 2006 as a spin-off of Final Fantasy 13 that was going to be for freaking feature phones.
It was part of the Fabula Nova Crystallis.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? That I still remember the words in my head that I wish I could remove?
Dude, when you fire up Type 0, you see a gigantic emblem that says Fabula Nova Crystallis.
Of course you do.
Before the game starts.
Of course you do.
Saoshan, as far as I know, there is no Kingdom Hearts that has a legit download. There you go. The only one where you can actually download a Kingdom Hearts game is Kingdom Hearts Coded, the feature phone game that only came out in Japan and then was later remade for Nintendo DS.
That is a game. That is definitely a game.
There's your obscure, dumb, useless knowledge for the day, everybody. But yeah, Type 0 was it is very, when you first start playing it, it feels far more like Crisis Core than it does a proper Final Fantasy game, because it's pretty actiony.
Okay.
You have 3 characters under your control at any given time, but you're only moving around one of them at a time, and you're moving around freely, like in an action RPG, like a Kingdom Hearts sort of, or a Crisis Core. And you have 3 main attacks, Like you have a special move, you have a magic spell, and a sort of melee move, and you could dodge. And it's very, very fast-paced. And the action takes some getting used to, and you could switch between 3 characters who are in your crew at any time, and as those characters die, you have 14 characters in your full, like, party. You know, it's like in a role-playing game, so you have all of these 14 characters in your party, but you have them all right from the start. And if one of your characters dies in battle, they're filled in with an extra one from your 14-character roster. And so that stuff feels pretty distinct. But then, as the game starts really cooking, it's very Final Fantasy-ish. There's an overworld where you can get in random battles, and you go out on missions. There are towns to explore. It's pretty cool. And it's presented in this really weird documentary style that works great. And the only problem with the entire game is that its characters, all 14 of them, are just anime cliches and nothing else.
So that was going to be my question. Is a big part of every time I have conversations with people about Final Fantasy, it seems like we talk about all the tropes of Final Fantasy, which is, you know, the overworld and the party and turn-based action, whatever, right? That stuff's sure. And then I get to asking about, like, are all the characters the absolute worst people in the whole world that I never want to hear? And the answer is always yes. It is never no. Why do people play these games? I don't understand.
And that makes no sense to me, because there are Final Fantasy games where I adore the characters. Like,
really?
Oh yeah, Final Fantasy XII, like Van, Pinello, Fran, Balthier. I freaking love them all. I love playing Final Fantasy Tactics for all of those characters. Ramza, Delita, awesome characters. Final Fantasy XIII... But Lightning Returns.
All the characters. Oh, man. Is the main idiot from Final Fantasy XIII... Snow, is that his name? Is he in...
Oh, God. Yeah, so, but Lightning Returns is freaking fascinating. Because the premise of Lightning Returns is, like, a world in which death no longer exists. Like literally, what you did to save the world in Final Fantasy XIII broke reality. Like, you didn't save anything. You ruined the universe because of your actions. And by the time Lightning Returns rolls around, everybody has been alive for 500 years. Not aging, not dying, and they're just, like, empty and hollowed out. And, like, all of these dull, irritating saps from the original Final Fantasy XIII have sort of become these mythic archetypes of people. And it's awesome. It is such a good game.
Okay. That is genuinely surprising to hear, because they are the absolute most obnoxious people in the world in 13.
In 13. They are the most obnoxious people. Yeah, they're awful in 13.
So anyway, that's always been why I've been averse to Final Fantasy, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, there are great characters in Final Fantasy, just not every time, you know? Like Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy VIII is a game with a lot of really cool ideas. Awful characters, abysmal characters. But as Twin Stick here in the chat has pointed out, Final Fantasy IX, great cast, wonderful cast.
Okay.
Vivi the Black Mage and Steiner the Knight, it's awesome. Great characters.
Okay.
That's something, like, it's funny, for all the story stuff that seems to be happening in Ori and the Blind Forest, Ori doesn't seem like a very strong character to me.
There isn't a lot of character building here, for sure. The only character building that I really witnessed was right at the beginning of the game. And that's kind of faded as we've been playing here. But, yeah, you're absolutely right. There isn't a lot of Ori character here. There's a lot of good storytelling right at the beginning, and I wish there was more of that, but I suspect that it was kind of expensive. Not expensive, just time-wise. They probably were focusing on the game instead of focusing on the story-building stuff.
Yeah.
I would imagine. Maybe I'm wrong. I really need to save more, is the problem that I'm running into here. Because, man... yeah. So, I don't know how long this game is supposed to be, though. Like, I would suspect maybe like 8 to 10 hours, but that seems way longer than I expected.
That's a pretty average length for this type of game.
Okay,
fine.
Sure.
Like the 10-hour mark seems like what you usually get for the Metroidvania. I have no problem saying Metroidvania at this point. Just rolls off the tongue.
Look at you. Look at you. You're a monster. I haven't played a Metroid or Castlevania game in a very long time, actually.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
man. God, I'm trying to think of the last time I fired up one of those was.
Yeah,
I was actually playing the Castlevania that came out immediately after Symphony of the Night. That had the same sort of exploration style is Circle of the Moon, which is one of the launch games for the Game Boy Advance. I was just playing that about 4 days ago.
Game Boy Advance? What are you doing there?
Little Game Boy Advance action. Last year, I bought... There is a company called Rose Colored Gaming that makes custom handhelds. And their specialty is making Game Boy Advances that are the original model that's sort of like oblong, that oval-shaped Game Boy Advance.
Yep.
Yeah, played like on its side. And they installed the great, beautiful LCD screen that was in the final model of Game Boy Advance SP. So it has like backlight, and it's just beautiful. So I bought one of those last year. It's a beautiful little piece of kit. I traded in my old launch Game Boy Advance and my Game Boy Micro to them to get it, and it was well worth it. It's funny, a lot of people are always like, why would you get that thing when you already had a Micro? And the truth is that I'm 33, and my eyes can't look at the Micro's tiny little screen anymore.
Yeah, it's a fair reason.
You know?
There's a lot going on there.
Wow, the TCS says, my first run on Ori and the Blind Forest was 8.5 hours with 230 deaths.
Whoa.
I think you're looking at like 493 deaths just in this playthrough, man.
I think that's accurate. I've died a lot of times, I would say, a lot of times. Games are tough, and my brain is not, is what I'm trying to say. Man, getting messed up. Oh, hey, look at that. I solved something by accident. How about that? Anyway, yeah, this game is definitely hard. And it does the auto-upload game clip thing, which is... I don't know how I feel about that still.
It does the what now?
The thing where, you know, it's like you did something cool, and the game's like, alright, we're going to record that clip, and we're going to... So you have it for later.
I hate that. I hate that stuff. It bugs the hell out of me.
I've never used it, ever. I don't understand. I'm not against it. I just, you know... What am I doing with that? I don't care. Who cares? Who cares? Come on. Yeah. Oh well. Anyway, some of these enemies pretty obnoxious. Not gonna lie. I wish the fighting was a little bit better. I wish I had a little bit more control over. Oh man, I'm getting messed up. I wish I had a little bit more control over my ability to hurt enemies. But oh well. I feel pretty weak still, regardless of the fact that I've upgraded my abilities pretty seriously.
Nightshade, I think it listens for when you say, "Oh, cool." Stop listening to me, Xbox.
I definitely do not have any of my... I had Joseph Volpe was visiting New York City, so he was at my apartment, and I had the Xbox on, and he just started instinctively shouting at it, and there's no connect there. There's no anything. He's just shouting at nothing. And it's funny that people do that now. That's like a thing. That people just, you know, there's a game console on, let me shout at it, and assume that will work. And thankfully it doesn't in my house. I removed the Kinect. Because he was shouting lewd things at it, and I don't think my Xbox would appreciate that.
Yeah, it's funny, man. I was livid when they first announced the Xbox One and said that you had to have the Kinect plugged in for it to work at all. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I will never buy that console. I will never ever buy that console ever. That is gross, because I don't want that thing listening to the conversations I have with people in my living room. And then all of a sudden, when I fire it up, it'll be like, here are these ads I'm serving you based on this conversation you had in the privacy of your home.
Yep.
Gross, Microsoft.
I mean, that stuff is gross, no doubt about it. I just don't like the concept of there being a mic and camera that can be turned on in my living room remotely. That's not...
No.
None of that is okay with me. I don't know. I remember when Amazon's Echo was announced, and it's like a thing that exists in your house that listens all the time. I'm like, great, that sucks. Like, why would it... I'm not buying a microphone so that people... like, connected to the internet to plug in that I will... What? Like, are you crazy? That seems like the worst idea. Why would I do that? I don't know. I'm not, like... I don't think there's actually somebody listening to me, right? Like, the CIA is probably not listening in on Ben Gilbert. But... it's creepy regardless.
They might be.
And yes, they might be. They might be.
I keep thinking about actually requesting, like, my cell phone records under the Freedom of Information Act from the NSA. Because you could do that, and they'll just send you a giant envelope of blank pieces of paper with just black lines all over them, which I find delightful. I
would love that. But you have to go through the Freedom of Information Act request situation, which is
a whole thing.
Yes, indeed it is.
All right, Nightshade, this is where you DDWRT on your router and block the ad feeds and such. I don't even know what that means.
No idea.
DDWRT, that's not a thing that I've ever heard of. Ben, just looks like you unlocked some kind of wild thing. What just happened?
Yeah, so I got to the Ginzo tree, and I got the water vein up in it, so that I am now able to be up inside that Ginzo tree, if you know what I'm saying.
This sounds filthy. This just sounds just... the dirtiest.
It's a little gross. Yeah, so it's a dungeon, as far as I can tell. I'm in a dungeon, as far as I can tell. And it's neat. It looks neat. It's pretty inside. It's a pretty looking dungeon. How about that? But we are seeing something for the first time, which is these, like, portals that you can walk through, kind of Pac-Man style, from one side of the screen to the other.
Oh, DDWRT is firmware for a router.
Yeah, there you go. You know what I don't do?
What's that?
Change the firmware on my router.
That's not a thing you do?
I've never done that, no. I'm not against it. I'm not a staunch anti-firmwareite or something. But,
Alright, Reticent Evil says you're trying to wet the tree now. That definitely sounds like a euphemism.
This is getting a little personal for me, if I'm saying. If I can say as much. Oh, wow. This looks like literally the enemies from Mario. Okay, sure. Or from Metroid, actually. Wow. Are you seeing this? You should see this.
Well, yeah, I'll see it momentarily.
You will see it soon. I'm just going to hang out here for a minute. It's, wow. Okay. That's weird. That's a little much. Okay.
Oh, those are the little guys. Look at them.
Those are definitely from Metroid.
The little spiky dudes.
Oh, I can totally use my save point. Why would I not do that? Man, thank God the game reminds you, because I would never do it. Mostly because my brain is not... It's not a good brain. It's a bad brain. So,
like the hardcore band from the 80s?
It's exactly. It's like bad brains. Gotta keep that positive mental attitude, Anthony. I'm always up for a Bad Brains reference any day. Man, yeah. Have you watched any of that Dave Grohl's Sonic Highways thing on HBO?
I have not.
It's not the best in the world, but some of it's really interesting. And he goes to, like, interview he interviews, like, Ian MacKaye from Minor Threat and Fugazi. And I think he had somebody. I think he gets on somebody from Bad Brains at one point. But it's pretty awesome for that stuff.
Well, I know Dave Grohl has recorded with those dudes from Bad Brains a few times.
Yeah, totally.
What was that thing that you just blew up in that hidden corner of the room you were just in?
So those are just, like, here's a bunch of extra ability points things. You find them, you explode them with your charge shot, and you get a bunch of extra ability points, which enables you to, get some more abilities.
Ben, NRoll29A has given you the very sound advice that you should be saving often in here.
I know. Come on. Alright, I'll save again, I guess. Fine. Because I don't want to have to play all that again. Oop. Alright, here we go. Oh, come on. Yeah, there's a lot of things that could kill you in here. There's no doubt about it. This is maybe one of the prettier areas I've seen so far. Let's see what happens if I do this. No, okay. Oh! Well, I've ended up somewhere bizarre. This is, yeah, I'm gonna have to save a lot in here, because, it's real confusing. It's like the Lost Woods, I guess. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
What is happening?
You'll see it on the screen in a second. I'm sorry. It was just really intense. Wow, that was awesome. This game's pretty good. Gotta say.
You know what this is very much like, now that I'm thinking about it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, these exploration games with insane platforming. It's like Guacamelee.
I have not actually played Guacamelee.
Oh my god, Guacamelee is so good.
Is it?
Yeah, Drinkbox Studios, man. Drinkbox Studios are making some of the most exciting stuff that there is right now. They did the excellent early Vita game, Mutant Blobs Attack, and Guacamelee is just great.
I have heard a lot of good things about Mutant Blobs Attack.
Mutant Blobs Attack is an awesome game. Very good platformer. And, man, yeah. As Pepper Sandwich is yelling, play Guacamelee. Play Guacamelee, it's great.
Okay, I will play Guacamelee.
Incredible game.
I'm pretty sure I've got what are they called? I think I've got that free on one of those services. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, the little PS Plus action. Is what you said?
One of those things. So what is happening here? I don't understand this part at all, but I will figure it out. Man, it's always the worst feeling like a total dummy on these doing a stream. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Nothing. I'm gonna push this through the hole and see what happens. I'm not gonna make any lewd jokes based on me saying that.
We actually did a stream about I want to say 8-9 months ago at this point with the cats from Drinkbox Studios when Guacamelee finally came out on Xbox One and PlayStation 4, and man, they're not. I love it when you meet people that make something good and they're cool. You know.
Sure.
They're like, yeah, you want the people that made the thing that you really like and to be as good as the thing that they made.
Sure.
Because it's just not always true. Like I remain a huge fan of the Smashing Pumpkins, but Billy Corgan is just a garbage person.
This has happened to me with a handful of game developers over the years, where I'm like, I love your games, and I meet them, and I'm like, oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Exactly.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I didn't want. We're doing a video game centric show, and so I didn't want to.
Yeah. No, I get it. It happens.
It happens.
What are you gonna do?
As Duke just said, yeah, I won a copy of Guacamelee from you guys during that stream, and I know that since we switched it up to Engadget Gaming here, that we haven't done any giveaways on the stream, and that is changing next week. We are getting back on the giveaway bus, everybody. When we stream Hotline Miami 2 next Wednesday, with it's not even just going to be us. It's going to be the cats from Denaton Games here with us to talk about their bananas stylistic piece of gruesome pulp fiction. And we're going to be giving away 10 copies of Hotline Miami 2. We're going to have 5 copies for PlayStation, which is, it's a cross-buy game, and we're going to have 5 copies for PC. So
there you go.
Look forward to it. Please look forward to it. Please be excited, as they say.
Everybody be excited now.
Zombie Batman, get ready, man. We are streaming not just on Tuesday and Thursday next week. We are streaming Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Boom.
Our schedule is going to be bananas next week. Pepper Sandwich, God, any joy for us international lovely people. I am not sure if those Steam codes are international. I will find out. Something that was always a hang-up at Joystick was our giveaway policies. AOL's giveaway policy is unfortunately US only because of some really... Like, when you do giveaways, the legal stuff is actually bananas, guys. There are all kinds of strange restrictions, and it's all because of litigation. So we can't do international giveaways because it leaves us open to a certain type of getting sued. I know it's ridiculous, but that's why we didn't do it in the past. I'm not sure what the situation is now, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to be able to give things away to people in the. JXE goes bro-nanas. Yaddle, I want Nintendo to make another Donkey Kong game just so I can make that the headline of our stream. Solo 27. What is being given away? Copies of Hotline Miami 2. Copies of Hotline Miami 2.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get some copies of Axiom Verge to give away. I'll look into that as well. No promises. Zero promises.
I bet we can work that out.
Yeah, we can work on it.
I bet we can do something there. Anyway, yeah, that's a good thing to be doing. I think
this is a hard fight that you're in, taking care of these freaking tentacles, man.
it is. It's not cool, and I keep getting messed up. I'm trying to not get messed up. But I really need to play Axiom Verge. Is what I need to do. I downloaded that game the other day, and I've been playing Ali Ali 2 way too much.
Oh man, I haven't even started Ali Ali 2.
It's both really good and a real MFer. If you know what I'm saying.
It wouldn't be Ali Ali if that wasn't the case.
That is absolutely so. I'd never played Ali Ali, and when I played Ali Ali 2, I was like, all right, skateboarding game. It's been a while. Let's see how it goes. And I spent like an hour just being like, this is the worst game in the world. I'm so angry. And then I realized that I'm just an idiot, which is usually what happens. This happens a lot. And it's really good. Yeah, that game's awesome. I really like it. It just is, you have to dedicate yourself to liking it. Almost. I don't know how else to put that. But when you get there, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I don't know. I really dug it. I've been enjoying all the PS Plus stuff, actually, lately. There's been a ton of stuff there. I haven't even started the Valiant Hearts yet. I need to do that.
So, I can't believe I'm going to say this because it makes me sound like a crazy person. But even when there are things that I think are really exciting on PlayStation Plus, I don't download them.
What?
Because if I have too many things in my backlog unplayed, I get stressed out. It stresses me out to even have digital games sitting on Steam or PlayStation Network that are just like sitting there, and I already have a ton of stuff that I'm trying to work through to play. I can't do it. It just bugs me out. I think it's just my brain.
Have you ever you can just like, do you go to the PSN store on the web and just like select them so you don't,
and just select them so it's there?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I'll think about it.
What?
Yeah.
You are leaving money on the table.
That's right. I'm a crazy person.
That is actual crazy.
I readily admit it. I readily admit that I'm crazy.
Why subscribe to PS Plus?
Well, for professional reasons. If I want to play a multiplayer game,
right. That's
gotta
the
have
butts.
it's the job.
I forgot about that bit. Oh man.
Roy G. Biv 415 is like looks at Steam library. Exactly. When there's a Steam sale going on, I can't even look.
Man. All right. Where am I going here? What's going on? Oh, there I am. Okay. All right. Video games. Oh, there we go. Spirit Gate. Opening it up. We're closing up. We're getting to the end of this stream here. Hopefully, for anybody enjoying themselves, they've followed us on Twitch so that they can be made aware when we go live. Although they should know to tune in Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern.
Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 to 5 p.m. And in the very near future, Fridays from 3 to 5 p.m. as well. We're going to be, in the coming weeks, starting a new regular show here on JXE Streams. And I encourage all of you to bookmark Engadget.com/gaming to know more about that.
Very interesting.
Intriguing, no?
Oh, I learned Bash, Anthony. I can use another button.
There it is, finally.
Yes, finally. Gosh. Okay, so
log that you were trying to
hold
get
Y near lanterns or enemy projectiles, then aim in the direction you'd like to leap. Okay, understood. I'll try that.
Don't tell me what to do, game.
Oh, I see. Oh, I totally remember this. Okay, all right. So when I played this at Gamescom, this was totally in it. But there was like, basically they had given you a bunch of abilities, and you were like, okay, this is really hard. How do I do this? And so now I know, I've learned it gradually because, you know, the game, video games, that's how it goes. That's how the game goes. So, anyway.
RobBase29A, how do you pronounce JXE? Just like that. Just the letters. Those are initials. Maybe won't stay the name of the stream. Maybe that is just a temporary name.
Maybe.
It's possible.
You never know.
What do you guys think? Do you like the name JXE Streams? Let me know what you... We're doing a little focus testing. How about that?
I'm getting messed up. Alright, here we go. Nope. Nope, doesn't work. Great. Okay. Alright, this is tough. This is actually the part in the game that they were demoing at Gamescom, which is... I don't understand how that was possible, considering I'm having a hard time playing it now. But, again, dumb brain. Nothing I can do about it. So, yeah, there's no real enemy, as far as I know, in this game, though, right? Like, you're just... There's no antagonist, at least, that I've been introduced to in terms of a story. There's just kind of Lonely Ori and his/her mission to kind of find somewhere new to help do things. I don't really know. There's not like a drive. I don't have a reason here. You know?
What I don't know about with this game, Ben? I don't know about the neon pink.
No?
So much neon pink.
There is quite a bit.
Pepper sandwich joy gadget. That's actually not bad. Joy gadget definitely sounds like a marital aid, though.
I was gonna say it sounds a little bit like Fleshbot, maybe.
It's a little dildonic. It's a little dildonic. Joy gadget. Just
a bit. Oh, all right. This is not going very well. There we go. There we go. There we go, Anthony. So you got to line it up with projectiles. So there's some toughness there. Do you see what I'm doing? Do you see how the bash works?
I do. Yeah, like the directional thing. It's so funny that there are all these like callbacks to old Castlevania games. Is the Castlevania for DS, the Nintendo DS, included a thing where you had to use the touch screen to sort of slingshot yourself using almost the sort of exact same setup where like you position the arrow and then sort of fly in that direction. Although I can imagine that's a whole lot better using a controller than using a touch screen.
Yeah, it's working out pretty well. It's a little weird that you have to be near a projectile to do it, but it works. Is that going to work? Yeah, it's going to work. Great. Fantastic. Okay. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what other games I've been playing lately. It's really just been Ollie Ollie 2, just non-stop, because that game is fantastic.
Got some ridiculous suggestions for an alternate show title. Teledildonic is actually Enroll. I think that's what we're going to end up calling it.
That sounds like the way to go.
Sexy Time with John Constantine. That'll be a specific show where we just play Dead or Alive. And
Jesus.
That'll be it.
Just Dead or Alive beach volleyball, extreme beach volleyball?
Just extreme beach volleyball for days. Just for days.
Sometimes you gotta.
Still have that game in my library.
Oh.
That's right. It's one of like 5 original Xbox games that I keep around. Because how could I get rid of it? Honestly.
Well,
you want
me to describe that? I could describe that.
You break it down.
You pick it up and you put it in the garbage. That's how that works. It's not. No, I mean I'm joking. It's not that horrible. I don't know. It's kind of horrible, right?
The game's amazing. It's actually. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball, once you figure out what you're actually supposed to be doing, is kind of a fascinating game.
Really?
Yeah,
really?
It actually is. It actually is. I'm not just saying that. Because it is not a volleyball game. It is a dating simulator between girls who play volleyball together. Like that is, and it tells you nothing about the way it's supposed to be played. It's like some of the most counterintuitive design in the world because it is so complicated. Like, what you actually have to do and, like, to figure out what they like, it's bizarre.
So it's like a lesbian dating sim for volleyball players?
See, but they don't, like, it's not sexual.
But they're dating. There's no. What else happens?
It's like friend dating. It's the weirdest thing in the world. I think the only answer is that we have to actually stream it. Like we'll just have to stream it at some point. Everybody, we have just 1 minute left, and Ben has died enough today, I think. We have been playing Ori and the Blind Forest, which is available now on Xbox Live Arcade for Xbox One and on Steam. The game's $20. It's by Moon Studios, and it is, by all accounts, very, very good. You gonna keep playing it, Ben?
I am going to keep playing it. Not right now, because I have some other stuff to do. But I am going to keep playing it in general in the world, because it's really neat.
And, yeah, everybody, as teased, we're going to be playing Axiom Verge with Tom Happ, the creator, on Tuesday at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right here at twitch.tv/joystick. If you haven't already, please follow us. All you dudes hanging out in the chat, we know you cats have followed us, but if you're just watching, follow us. It's always a good time. Lot of good stuff happening next week. After Axiom Verge on Wednesday, we're playing Hotline Miami 2 with Denaton Games. Thursday, we're playing Bloodborne Blind play of Bloodborne. I have never turned it on. We're gonna make a character. It's gonna get weird.
So quickly.
Yeah, it's just going to be bizarre. And then on Friday, we're hanging out with the lead game designer of The Witcher 3. So, yeah, make it happen.
That should be fun.
Yeah. Ben, the TCS wants to see your death count. Can you make that happen?
I can. Let's do that. Let's get there right now. Death count so far, I think 75? Looks like 75.
75 deaths.
Today, in 2.5 hours, 75 deaths, just to be clear.
Just today. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much for coming out.
Thank you, Anthony.
Oh, thank you, Ben.
Bye, folks.
We're going to put on an EEG headset, and what that allows you to do is watch your brain activity on a stream while eating and trying different kinds of barbecue. So